shopgear.com.
The following is a presentation of the Gear Radio Network.
You're listening to Better Live Than Dead.
I believe it's a big challenge for our building to keep things in perspective and to, if we're going to get addicted to anything, let's get addicted to the process.
And we welcome you to the final Trust the Podcast of not only 2018, but the 2018 National Football League season. Like we said, this is Trust the Podcast, powered by Better Live Than Dead and Gear Radio Network.
You said final. That feels like it's, there's the feeling of finality. That's sad. That's sad to me.
It's kind of a bummer,
sad, Ryan. This is kind of a sad voice.
It's kind of a bummer. I understand. But the season's over. The Bills didn't make the playoffs, which we knew was happening. But before we get too far into it, episode 39, week 17, Buffalo Bills versus the Miami Dolphins. You can hear this podcast and all Gear Network and Better Live Than Dead podcasts on betterlivethandead.com, iTunes, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube. Wherever you get a podcast, you can hear our podcast. No questions asked. I am Ryan Wolfe at WolfeBLTD. Joining me on the IndyCard Media Hotline, my esteemed co-host, John Cimino at the JC Money. John, how you doing today?
I am well, Ryan. I am doing what I do when the two teams that I follow do not come close to scratching the playoffs. There's only so much I could do,
That's the truth.
But
not to mention, it was, as you mentioned off the air, this was the last few weeks of the Bills season has been kind of tough because it's, it really just is what it is. But week 17, two teams that have literally nothing but statistics to lose, playing a game that, half the stadium maybe was full in Buffalo. It doesn't seem like a lot of people cared. A lot of people ready for the season to be over. But
I'm going to fancy that the majority of whomever was there was incredibly intoxicated and making the best out of the blowout that occurred. That I'm sure.
If we're being honest, that's really every game in Buffalo: win, loss, or draw. Or tie, I would have to say, win, lose, or tie. They're always, Bills fans are always intoxicated. And
you have to be when you had the drought as long as you did. You've got to make something out of it. So yeah, jumping through tables and getting hammered and throwing dillies on the field when Tom Brady was out there.
Jumping through tables that are burning and exchanging sexual favors and throwing rubber phalluses on the field. It's just another day in the life of a Buffalo Bills fan.
Hey, it could be worse. You could be like, Johnny Manziel during his Cleveland days, shooting blow off of the tatas of strippers,
Hey,
nobody in the Bills has had that we know of.
Whatever floats your Cleveland Brown sized boat out there, I guess,
Yes.
But hey, good news for the Buffalo Bills. They close out this season with a very big victory. So they finished the season 6-10. They win one for Kyle Williams, who announced earlier this week that he was going to walk off into the sunset and retire. Not only play his final game as a member of the Bills, but play his final game as a member of the National Football League. A 42-17 blowout of the Miami Dolphins, the most points scored by the Buffalo Bills since October 16th, 2016, when they put 45 up on the 49ers. So it would have been fitting.
And if I could just say, I think that the momentum train for Buffalo now this offseason is going to be very, very important, as we've talked about numerous times over the course of my tenure on this podcast about the heavy amount of cap room that they're going to have. They're not going to have a top 3 or 4 draft pick. No, they're not going to, but they are going to have quite a bit of cap space. What they do this offseason is going to this is going to be a very important offseason to watch if you're a Bills fan, because if they botch this offseason with the amount of cap room that they have and finish with another 6-10 season or 7-9, hello Jeff Fisher, or 5-11, anything less than a winning season, and I guarantee you're going to start hearing McDermott on the hot seat, which is crazy to think about right now, especially considering that after the Bills game, Coach Bill Cowher on the CBS postgame show called McDermott one of the best coaches in the National Football League right now. So this offseason is really going to determine whether or not Cowher's anointment of being one of the better coaches in the NFL for Sean McDermott is in fact. And
now looking at the defense, the Buffalo Bills have improved markedly as the season went on. They have one of the best defenses in the league, hands down, at least one of the top three, I would have to say, without looking at the statistics here. It's crazy to see how fast they built that defense up into a powerhouse. I mean, we will talk about they're losing Kyle Williams, but they do have replacements like Jordan Phillips and I just completely forgot the other guy's name. Harrison Phillips as well. I believe is his name. I'm shot right now. The coffee I'm drinking has
That's
not
fine,
yet
man.
in.
It's holidays. Everybody's all holidayed out. You know, as evident by my lack of Uber and Lyft rides this past weekend. Everybody's pretty much holidayed out, or at the very least, preparing for the onslaught that will be tomorrow, New Year's Eve. So
yeah, I was going to say I'm pushing almost a week of being off of work. So I am.
You lucky bastard.
Yeah, well, I mean, when your boss says to you, "Hey, you have 34 hours of paid time off. That if you don't use it, you're going to lose it." I was like, well. Looks like I'm going to use it because I'm not losing that time.
I can assure you, Ryan, my boss will not tell me that at all because I will use every goddamn hour I can.
Well, to be honest, I didn't even know it existed until about a month ago, so that's good. But looking at the Buffalo Bills, they built their defense into a powerhouse, and they built. I mean, today was, I think, a really good representation of what the offense needs to be next season. Now, granted, you're not going to score 42 points every week, but with that being said, the Bills were a little more gimmicky this week than usual. They were Josh Allen flushed out of the pocket. You saw that there was one play where he kind of leapt and tossed the ball over the line to Chris Ivory for a big gain. Again, Allen pick and chose his spots to run the ball and was effective when he did it. As we'll talk about here in a few minutes, his completion percentage was a lot better this week. It just seems as if they can kind of make the offense dynamic around him. I mean, he's going to need wide receivers who can separate. We've talked about that. But if those guys can't get separation, he's in trouble because his accuracy is nowhere near right now where it would need to be. If you're going to say, oh yeah, he can place this throw in a tight hole. I'm not confident that he can do that, but again,
right. And that's again, another important thing to watch this offseason because Phil Simms said it in the CBS pregame show that Josh Allen throws some of the most amazing incomplete passes he's ever seen in his life. The guy can, again, he's a younger Cam Newton. He can throw flick of a wrist and throw it 60, 70 yards easily. And also, you add the ability to run and use his legs and extend plays. Josh Allen has something there. What he does from year one to year two, because you have to understand, the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Patriots, whom all play him 2 times a year, are going to be studying up on Josh Allen. They never really had to do that for Tyrod Taylor. We talked last week about the hoodie being, the master manipulator and zeroing in on, the main weapon of the teams that he plays against. And that, that's kind of the hoodie's thing. It's Belichick's thing. If they indeed keep LaShawn McCoy, well, Josh Allen has proven himself, especially within the past 7 games, that he's a dual threat. That's, and that LaShawn McCoy is now going to complement him. So if the Bills spend their bank on that offensive line that was atrocious, but Allen was able to still do what he has done with that offensive line, if they get an offensive line that is somewhat, even halfway close to what the Cowboys' offensive line is, because they historically have had a great offensive line, this kid's really gonna do some damage. But to your point with the accuracy, watch him in the offseason. If he's working on his accuracy, if he's working on his footwork, the name Jordan Palmer, Carson Palmer's younger brother, a lot of quarterbacks go to him in the offseason and they work on their footwork. They work on their different things. They work on their accuracy. He's someone that I would hope that Josh Allen and Sam Darnold, for that matter, would seek out to work on accuracy issues and things like that. Transition from year 1 to year 2 is going to be big. How Josh Allen does in the offseason with his workouts, what is he doing? Is he going to settle? Is he going to work on it? Honestly, I think Allen knows very well what this fan base is about, what this fan base has been through, and he's embraced it, as you can tell by his frequent support of the Buffalo Sabres and things like that. And I really think that this guy is going to be really good. So I hope that he doesn't make me eat my words, except for 2 times a year. But I hope that he doesn't make me eat my words and he really puts in the work this offseason and he comes back and he's crisp and has support around him. And, you know, if at this point next year we can prepare for both a Bills and a Jets playoff run, I will be one happy son of a bitch.
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, looking at like you said, with the development of the first year players, you always have to say it's like baseball. You have a guy who comes in and hits real well, and then gets shut down, and you're like, oh, what happened to that guy? He was a 1 year wonder. But it's never how you do when you enter the league. It's always how do you do after they adapt to you? How do you respond to them getting a book on you? That's when you find out what a player can be or what a player may end up being, and that's what we'll see with Josh Allen. I know as the season has gone on, they've also been able to tailor the playbook a lot better to make sure that they are really playing to the strengths and trying to hide the weaknesses. And I think they've done a great job. Again, you don't know how much the Dolphins are heading into a off season of turmoil where they're likely going to fire their head coach. Will Ryan Tannehill
couldn't happen to a better team except the Dallas Cowboys.
And you look at that, there's a potential they're going to fire their head coach. There's a potential that Ryan Tannehill may not be back next year. You've got players fighting for jobs. It's your usual season of turmoil when expectations are high and then the actual results not so good.
Right.
So
you know who doesn't have those problems? The New England Patriots. You know who's going to have some of those problems? Who are set back? The New York Jets. They're going to be reportedly firing Todd Bowles. Well, if he hasn't been fired already, he's going to be fired tomorrow on Black Monday.
Yeah, this is one thing we're going to talk about. Actually, I was going to point it out later in the podcast because I was actually thinking about stealing and kind of saying, well, hey, this is a Bills centric podcast, but let's get some playoff predictions. But then I thought to myself, spoiler alert, little fourth wall breaking down. We're doing a Better Live Than Dead podcast, either myself and Mr. Perez or myself and John, where we're gonna preview the playoffs. We're gonna talk about the matchups. We're gonna give our predictions, and we're also gonna talk about Black Monday because we're doing it on Tuesday, the first day of the new year.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
there will be a chunk of time dedicated because Jay Glazer of
that
Fox
is good
Sports,
because you know why? Because Brandon's unavailable for the FTW podcast for Black Monday. So I'm all in. Believe me, I'm going to be paying very much attention to all the coaching changes and everything like that. So I'm game for that.
When you said that, you know what song just started playing in my head?
Oh, geez, go ahead.
The Too Cool theme song.
Shut up, Ryan.
That's the first thing I thought of. Thank you.
Wait, am I Rikishi or am I Scotty Too Hottie?
I mean, I guess, do you like putting your ass in people's faces?
Yes.
Then you're Rikishi.
Woohoo! That's right, Oos.
I guess we should probably, now that we're kind of off the rails on the podcast here, we should jump into the 3 big things for the final time this year. It's like, when you go to school and you see kids the last day before Christmas break and you say, see you next year, and you want to slap them in the face. I'm going to do that right now. Last 3 big things of the 2018 calendar year, the 2018 NFL regular season. We're going to start off, rightfully so. Kyle Williams, like they said in WWE, Kyle Williams, this is your life. Today,
I'll tell you what, and I want you, and I hope, and I don't see this on the lineup here, but I'm hoping that you'll share the story of your bachelor party and actually meeting the guy. But this guy couldn't be a nicer individual. He was Absolutely. Really a super class act. I mean, when we met him at your bachelor party, if you want to get into that, we will a little later. But all things considering, this guy knows what he is. Buffalo or Rochester, for all intents and purposes, is a suburb to Buffalo, which I guess really isn't saying a whole lot, but, so he knew the importance of him being there and everything. And just the mere fact that he was there in that suite with his family and he still took time out for the people and he was super cool about it. I mean, hats off to Kyle Williams. I am so glad that the Bills, gave him that one catch, that one reception. And just, it sucks to lose somebody like him. Who's meant so much, but I can safely say that in the last 15 years, aside from maybe Freddie Jackson, definitely Freddie Jackson, Kyle Williams should be up on that Ring of Honor in due time.
Absolutely. And once we run through the stats here, I'll definitely tell that I can give a quick synopsis of that story because it's one of my favorites for sure. Today in the game, Kyle Williams, 3 tackles, 1 tackle for loss. And then, as you mentioned, John, a reception for 9 yards, which kind of allowed the fans to go a little wild. New Era Field definitely got a little lit for that, which was really cool. It's a very touching moment. And then McDermott said he purposely went out and was kneeling the ball to get the defense back on the field to make sure he could call a timeout and then call timeout, pull Kyle Williams out of the game, give him the reception, the standing ovation and the reception from the crowd that he deserved. He finished the season with, I didn't put the season stats down, but he did finish the season, I believe, with 5 sacks. If he had 6 or 4 sacks, if he had 5 sacks, he would have gotten $150,000. I'm sure the team will take care of that for him. But he finished his career. This is the most important stuff here. Finished his career with, and I didn't grab the sack number, so I'll grab those in just a second, but he ends up with 183 career games played, which is 7th all time in franchise history, 610 tackles, 103 tackles for a loss, 6 recovered fumbles, 4 forced fumbles, 1 interception, 1 reception for 9 yards, and 1 career rush for 1 yard and a touchdown.
And most important stat there, 1 incorrect Beth Moen reference. She picked when there was a fumble in, I think it was the 4th quarter. She picked up, whomever picked it up. She was like, Kyle Williams picks up the fumble. Oh, wait, no, it's number 93. It's not Kyle Williams. And I'm
Trent
like,
Murphy.
Beth.
Yeah, it was Trent. I remember hearing that. Trent Murphy picked that one up. Yeah. Kyle Williams also finished his career with 48.5 sacks, 5 sacks this year. If he hit 6, he'd get $150,000. I'm sure the Buffalo Bills will do their job to take care of that for him. Kind of like when CeCe Sabathia. When CeCe Sabathia mowed that Tampa Bay Ray down and they still gave him the money despite the fact that he didn't hit the mark.
Right.
But looking at it, I mean,
Sabathia, the big fella, is going to be his going away tour. Spoiler alert: Ryan and I are going to talk some baseball talk over the course of the baseball season. But
hey, like I said,
I'm going to cry when the big fella. I'm going to cry when the big fella retires.
BetterLiveThanDead.com. We updated it to focus on the podcast, so we're doing a podcast next year. We're doing a lot of podcasts, and that'll definitely be something we talk about.
Yeah, boy.
Pro Football Reference has Kyle Williams AV, which is essentially like all of the stuff he's done in his career. They assign a number value to it at 91, which places him 10th all time in franchise history in Buffalo Bills history, the 10th best player with 10th best player in Bills history, and the first among defensive tackles. So they have him in the books as
who are the 9 they have before him.
Let me grab that.
I would have put him. I would put him just a little higher than. I mean, he's not top 5, but he's certainly between 6 and 9. I would.
Right, give me a second. I'll hit you.
Those 2 nice numbers.
Very, very nice.
Put those 2 together.
Top 12 players since 1960. We've got Kyle Williams, 10th with 91.
Okay.
Mike Stratton, 9th with 95. Fred Smerlis with 97. He's 8th. Joe Ferguson, 7th, 100. O.J. Simpson, 6th with 107. Kent Hull, 5th, 107. 4th, Under Reed, 132. Tied with Jim Kelly as well.
Oh, hey, breaking down the wall. I think your internet's failing you, man. You're breaking up.
It's because I'm on my wife's laptop. It's not.
Ah, damn it, Mrs. Wolf, get a better laptop.
It's my fault. I ruined the laptop. I was going to work on my PC tonight, but she's studying for her board, so I don't want to interrupt.
Oh, so it's your
fault. But Bruce Smith is first. It's pretty much the top 5 are the 90s Bills, and then scattered throughout. Should be. Yeah, scattered throughout our players who have stood out.
I'd probably have rated him just under OJ. Maybe I'm sorry. I probably would have put Fred Jackson under OJ. Actually above OJ because Fred Jackson didn't kill anybody. But I would certainly put.
Well, this is just based off stats. I know. Like
based off stats.
For me, Fred. Yeah, for me, like Fred Jackson, Kyle Williams are the 2 best players that I've ever seen in a Buffalo Bills uniform, hands down.
Well, yes, but you're also younger, that you weren't around, or you were around, but you weren't cognizant of the Kelly.
Absolutely.
The Kelly days, and I was, so I was able to see. I saw all those championship years with Levy as the coach and Kelly and Thomas and all those guys, and it was those definitely, like the 90s Bills definitely should, rightfully so, occupy the top 5. But I would probably put Kyle Williams just a little higher than 10, maybe 8. But
I just looking back at Kyle Williams really quick, he personified the blue collar attitude. I mean, I think that's, you know, I don't really look too much into it, but I feel like you'll hear a lot of people say he personifies the blue collar attitude, mindset, lifestyle, everything. He personifies what it's like to be a Buffalo Bill, essentially. And as you mentioned, John, with the bachelor party, just for the sake of time here, I'll kind of give it a quick run back. We saw Kyle Williams at a game. It was my bachelor party last summer. I had said that he was throwing at the first pitch. One of my friends told me I was a effing liar, and I said, you know, the internet don't lie, bro. I was probably 6 or 7 beers deep at that point in time. Kyle Williams comes out, throws out the first pitch.
I was more than that.
Oh, dude,
I was Ric Flair that day, bro.
you were lit, like the definition of lit. It got to the point where we're in our box. He was probably 3 or 4 boxes over. We waved to him. I waved to him. He waved back, and I started freaking out. I was fangirling real hard. And I said, we got to make it a goal. I told everybody, I said, we got to make it a goal tonight to go meet Kyle Williams. So game's over. Fireworks are over. I stumble out, and we're all walking over, and I kind of hear a commotion. And at this point, I'm like, not blacked out, but I'm borderline. I'm doing pretty bad. And all of a sudden, I feel like some pushing in the back, and people are grabbing me, and I look up, and Kyle Williams is, 10 feet in front of me, and he's taking photos with the ushers from the room. And then I say to him, hey, Kyle, can I get a picture? And I remember Eric saying something about, like, yeah, it's his bachelor party. It's his bachelor party. And Kyle looks at me and kind of puts his arm around me and goes, hey, buddy. He goes, you have a good time tonight? And I said, yeah, man. He goes, good. I'm glad to hear that. And I'm like, I don't fangirl much over athletes. I mean, I've, been doing the whole media thing for 10 years now. I don't get almost 10 years. I don't get too starstruck around people. But for some reason, Kyle Williams, maybe it was the alcohol. Maybe it was just because I'm a big Kyle Williams fan. Well, I just was starstruck.
I would think that I think that was, I mean, I don't know. I was pretty much breaking down the wall. I was Ric Flair for all you wrestling fans that know the history of Ric Flair and alcohol and doing random things. Like while Ryan's fangirling over Kyle Williams, I took a knee during the anthem. I wound up crashing a bachelorette party in the forgot which podcast I was on. In the suite next to me, you might have to bleep that out, Ryan.
Oh, you're fine.
In the suite next to me, getting pictures taken with all the girls there and everything, and I think you and I wound up drunk on the elevator. I don't know, we were talking about something. I don't exactly remember.
Breeze, man. It was a great time.
But Kyle Williams could not have been a nicer guy. Like during that, and again, he was there as a guest of the Red Wings and given a suite. And I have ties to the Red Wings. Given a suite, he was there with his family. In the off season, you know what I mean? Just before training camp was supposed to start at St. John Fisher. And I mean, this guy, he knew the importance. That's the thing that really got me about him, is he knew the importance of his name, not just the brand, the Buffalo Bills, and being a member of the Buffalo Bills, but his name to this area. So he, despite the fact that he was with his entire family, his 5 kids and his wife, he made time for the people out there in the suites, including you. And so much so to the fact that, when we were all leaving, I don't know if you remember this at all, but as we were leaving, as they were clearing out all the suites, Kyle Williams and his family were like 2 suites ahead of us, and they were out first, and he was mob rushed by a bunch of fans. And we came out there, we saw that he was mob rushed by a bunch of fans. So we ended up going to the side and kind of like took pictures, wacky, like wrestling. I think I did the Shawn Michaels pose or whatever. I'm not sure. And just before we left, I approached Kyle Williams and said, I don't need a picture. I don't need an autograph. I just want to say, hey, have a safe drive home. And thanks for making my friend happy. And he was like, you know what? Nobody's ever really wished me a good, like a good ride home, or wanted, not wanted something, you know what I mean? And that was kind of cool that, I got that from him Of course, if I would have told him I was, I'm the Bills Mafia's favorite Jets fan, he'd probably be like, "Hey man, F you." but he was such a super cool guy to do that. And even as he was trying to get to his car, taking time for pictures with the fans and stuff like that. I mean, total class act, it's a loss as far as, yes, the talent is concerned, but just the presence that he has with those guys. And if you didn't become a Kyle Williams fan, if you weren't a Kyle Williams fan already, I guarantee you Kyle Williams became, had a lot more fans after seeing the infamous Dalton play to get the Bills into the playoffs at the expense of the Ravens, and the emotion that came from Kyle Williams. 13 years, and he finally, that was the 12-year mark at that point, but he finally made it to the playoffs. With the same team, with the team that was supposedly cursed, with the team that had that legendary drought, with a team that was always on the cusp of being a playoff team, but and you just never got there. And he finally got there, and the emotion that poured out of him. I mean, if that didn't make you a Kyle Williams fan, then you have no goddamn soul.
I don't disagree with you there. I mean, it's been a fun trip following the career of Kyle Williams. It'll be a big loss for the Buffalo Bills defensive line, but I know they've got plans. They'll certainly fill it out, and I know they've already started the courting of trying to get him to come back as a coach, which we'll see what happens.
I did hear Dan Fouts mention that too, so that was kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean, hey, he's done a damn good job. Why wouldn't you want him to come back and help coach the defensive line and help get those kids in shape? But I want to jump over to the second of three big things today. Josh Allen and the stats. Now, I mentioned that because we'll talk Josh Allen and we'll talk stats on the season real quick. From the game today, Josh Allen, 17 of 26, much improved on the completion percentage, 224 passing yards, 3 touchdown passes, 1 pick, which ended up being a pick 6, then 9 rushes for 95 yards and 2 touchdowns. He becomes the third rookie quarterback in franchise history to throw for 3 touchdowns in a game, 3+ touchdowns in a game. I'm sorry. He has the most touchdowns in a single season in franchise record by a rookie with 18. Most rushing yards in a single season by a quarterback in franchise history with 631.
I mean, if that wasn't enough right there to tell you that you've got something with this guy, I mean, I don't know what will be, but I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ryan.
Oh, you're okay. He tied Jack Kemp for most rushing touchdowns by a quarterback in franchise history.
Correction. Former vice presidential candidate Jack Kemp.
Yes, excuse me. Way before my time. Matthew Berry on Twitter, in just over 3 months, Josh Allen has 5 games with at least 9 rushes and a rushing touchdown. That is since 2001. Only Cam Newton has done that he did it in 2012. Allen finishes the season off. My math is a little off. I'm sorry. The pages didn't update, so I had to do this all longhand, and I'm terrible at math. But he finishes the season with 2,074 passing yards, 10 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 631 rushing yards, and 8 touchdowns rushing.
I mean, that's good. That's good. Even again, he's a rookie, and for the fact that he is able to produce that. 18 total touchdowns, 10 through the air, 8 through the ground, to 12 interceptions. That's not bad at all for a rookie with a shoddy offensive line in a division that the Patriots have dominated for the last 20 years.
We talked about it ad nauseum at this point, but Allen continues to do everything, do things a little better each and every single week. He's got a big offseason ahead of him to improve, to get more comfortable with the playbook, with reading defenses, with just doing his job overall better. Because if he comes out next year and does better, I mean, the sky's honestly the limit, and we saw that this
Bills
season
got
for sure.
6 wins. The Bills got 6 wins with a team that was projected to go 0-2 wins. And they did that with Josh Allen at quarterback, injured, mind you, 2 or 3 games. Now, just imagine, had this kid been on the field the entire time and not injured, and let's not take the Matt Barkley performance against the Jets away, because that was obviously I think that was more of a statement of the Jets quitting on Todd Bowles than Matt Barkley being the guy, the amazing backup that he is. But had Josh Allen played, and especially played the way that he's played those 2 or 3 games that he was gone, I mean, the Bills could have easily been 9-7. They really, I do agree that they could have been 9-7. They could have been in a playoff hunt, or at the very least, been in a position to play a super spoiler. And that's with him as a rookie, literally nobody around him, Shady sort of regressing, and an offensive line that's garbage. And he did all that, and he got the Bills to 6 wins, 5 wins. I mean, again, Barkley, whatever, but still, the sky's the limit. And if you're a Bills fan, you should be very, 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 very excited. This, like I said, this offseason is going to be huge because you've got Miami possibly starting a new regime. The Jets have all but confirmed they're going to be starting a new regime. So I would not factor those 2 teams into anything next year. This is the AFC East could very well be a race between a declining New England, an older Tom Brady, Gronk might not be there, and a Buffalo Bills team that's on the upswing right now with a younger quarterback, a young team, all the fire that they have. This offseason is going to speak more for the Buffalo Bills than I think it's going to for any of the other teams in the AFC East. So get excited, Bills fans. This is going to be a hell of an offseason.
Yeah, I just saw something I want to point out here from Buffalo Rumblings. Since the 2000 season, this is the 15th time the Bills have finished 3rd or 4th in the AFC. So they have been bad for a very long time. They broke the streak. We talked about that last season, but a lot of room for the Buffalo Bills to kind of get back up into consistently being relevant. Now, John, speaking of players who need to have big off seasons, who have been impressive this season, I'm going to run down 3 names for you. Zay Jones, 6 receptions, 93 yards, 2 touchdowns today. He finishes the season with 56 receptions, 652 yards, 7 touchdowns. Tremaine Edmonds had an interception and a sack today. Finishes the season with 120 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 picks. And Shaq Lawson had 2 sacks today, the first multi-sack game of his career. Finishes the season with only 4 sacks, but has looked so much better this season. Those 3 players and others, but those 3 players for sure will be very important for the Buffalo Bills next season if they can go through the offseason. Zay Jones can get more comfortable with Josh Allen, and vice versa. If Tremaine Edmonds can continue to grow, he's only 20 years old. He's still a kid. He's looked increasingly better as the season has gone on, as he's gotten more comfortable with the National Football League and the speed of the game. And Shaq Lawson, who some may have considered a bust, come out of Clemson, but he's really started to fill a role well, and that's worked out for the Buffalo Bills for sure. So again, or at least it's worked out this season for the Buffalo Bills. But if those players, Josh Allen, Zay Jones, Tremaine Edmonds, Shaq Lawson, among others, can continue to improve, continue to develop, like we said, the sky's the limit. And one more thing I want to mention about stats, John, before we move over to LaShawn McCoy's failed quest for 11K. Spoiler alert. Sean McDermott, 15-17 through 2 seasons as the Buffalo Bills head coach. He is tied with Rex Ryan and Doug Marrone. Those are 2 names to be tied with for 8th all-time in wins.
Big difference.
He's within striking distance next season.
Though. Big difference between those 2.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There's just a lot of weird history there.
In his first season, Rex Ryan did not do that. Marrone almost had the chance to do that, but he didn't. And then he quit. And then he went to Jacksonville. And while Shad Khan said that Marrone's going to be retained for the next year, the fact that he, after his second season as a head coach in Jacksonville, that he was already considered to be on the hot seat should say enough about Doug Marrone that, whatever, who cares?
I mean, if they bring back Blake Bortles next season and Doug Marrone, just fire Doug Marrone, because it's not going to work out for him. But Sean McDermott next season is within striking distance of Chan Gailey, who has 16 wins, Greg Williams, who has 17 wins, and Dick Duran, who has 24 wins. So,
Dick Duran, that's a name from the past.
Yeah. I remember the day he got fired. I remember the day he got fired. I was working a college basketball broadcast at College of Brockport at RIT, and he showed up to the game, and I walked down to him and asked him if he would talk about it. And he told me, he laughed and smirked and said no. And I said, well, have a great day. I appreciate you. He goes, yep, you too. And I walked away. Great story. But moving over now, more stats before we look ahead to the bleak offseason of nothing. LaShawn McCoy's quest for 11K failed. It's okay. He's closer. But McCoy, 10 carries for 26 yards and a touchdown in what could potentially be his final game as a member of the Buffalo Bills. He moves to 25th all-time, passing Thomas Jones. He now has 10,606 yards. And in a cruel twist of fate, 24th place Jamal Lewis has 10,607 yards. So LaShawn McCoy enters next season 1 yard behind 24th all-time in rushing the ex-Raven, the ex-Cleveland Brown, Jamal Lewis, which is interesting to say the least. But our quick look at the quest for the highest pick right now as of 6:05 p.m. On the final set of afternoon games. If the season were to end right this second, the Buffalo Bills would pick 9th overall, mocked to be Greg Little, offensive tackle from Ole Miss, which would be a big help for the Buffalo Bills. We talked about that, and we'll talk about that in a little bit in the future here on our what I would expect to have a NFL draft preview podcast, but we'll figure that out and we'll get back to you guys on that one. But our weekly look ahead brought to you by 26 Shirts. There are shirts currently available on 26shirts.com. They close at 11:59 p.m. on December 30th. So like we said, every other week, just go to 26shirts.com, check out the latest t-shirts. $8 for any shirt purchase you make goes to help a specific fund, person, family, whatever it may be. Some of your money goes to help a great cause each and every single time they put a t-shirt out. Check out 26shirts.com. We appreciate Dell, again, for being on the podcast this season, but also for their continued support of Trust the Podcast and vice versa. Really, though, John, to look ahead, the NFL playoffs start in a week. I guess the next big thing we're looking forward to is the NFL draft on April 25th. We'll most likely have some sort of draft preview cast once we know, once the combine happens and once we kind of get a better feel for where Buffalo wants to go. We can talk a little about that. We could talk a little about the offseason, especially like you always said, with the big old cap, with the checkbook clearing and the Bills finally get out of salary cap hell, self-induced salary cap hell, but nonetheless hell. Once they get out of that, get into free agency, there will be a lot more to talk about, and we look forward to it for sure.
Absolutely. Sorry about that little dead air there. I'm being spammed by a hater right now, and opposite you, I'm listening to you in one ear, and I am messing with him the other with the other ear. So yeah. Anyways, going back to 26 Shirts, Dell, you're the man, dude. Also, shopgear.com. You folks made this holiday season a amazing, awesome holiday season, so I thank you. And just so you know, Valentine's Day is coming up, and it is never a bad time to shop Amazon using our links, whether it's on betterlivethandead.com or gearnetwork.com or the quick redirect link shopgear.com. We do receive a commission for your purchases, and that goes a long way to helping the network produce awesome podcasts like this one. And I say that because we're awesome. And so thank you all very much for that as well.
And with that being said, one more thing before we get going here on the podcast. I want to thank Brayton at BJ Wilson on the tweet bots, Dell at Dell Reed for joining us on the bye week as well. I just hit myself in the kneecap with my wedding ring and it really hurt. Oh man, that really hurt. And John, I want to thank you as well at the JC Money for becoming the interim, and then you were so good as the interim. It's like you're an interim head coach. You were so good as an interim head coach that we brought you on as the full-time head coach, and I've had a damn good time talking the Bills with you this season.
Hey, it was fun, and especially too with the folks from especially YouTube. YouTube, I seem to have gotten a lot of the comments from, and even Twitter and everything, and just the Mafia has been great and has embraced. At first, it was kind of a comical thing saying the Bills Mafia's favorite Jets fan, but it kind of became a thing. And the Bills Mafia has really embraced me. The fact that I feel that I could go to a Bills versus Jets game wearing Jets green and be okay to drink beer with Bills fans. So I'm very happy with that. So thank you, Bills Mafia, for bringing me in, so to speak, and and just enjoying the podcast and keeping engaged with us and keeping us on our toes and correcting us when we're wrong, which I'm wrong a lot. So, thank you for all of that.
Well, yeah, I want to send out a big thank you to each and every single one of you who have tuned in this season. It's been tough, 6-10, not like last season where the Buffalo Bills made the playoffs. Hopefully next season, the 2019 NFL season, will be a little more fruitful for the Buffalo Bills and the Bills Mafia, as John mentioned. But we thank you for tuning in each and every single week to not only this podcast, but the BLTD podcast, the Sabercast, all the Gear Network podcasts. We do appreciate the continued support. And one more time for the road before we take our winter break, I guess, or our off-season break. John, I am Ryan Wolfe at Wolfe BLTD. John is at the JC Money. We are Trust the Podcast.
You are not.
We will catch you sometime very soon. We'll talk some,
especially
draft.
if you're a baseball fan.
Yes, we'll talk some NFL draft, all that stuff. Well, make sure you tune into the BLTD podcast. We've got one, like I said, coming up. We've got baseball podcast coming up with baseball right around the corner again. We've got an NFL.
And whoa. One more thing, too. Sorry to interrupt you, Ryan. But shut up, Ryan.
What's up?
I said shut up, Ryan.
Oh, that was what you wanted to interrupt me for. Okay.
That was what I wanted to say, was shut up, Ryan.
I didn't know if you had something more important
Every
than that.
podcast, I have to tell you shut up in some way, shape, or form. And
You've
I'm
already got me a
sure.
couple times, and I think you blacked out.
Did I already get you a couple times? Oh, okay.
It happens so much that you forget that you do it. It's okay. It's
Fair enough.
But like I said, we appreciate y'all tuning in, and we will catch you all sometime very soon.
Good night now.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network.